here. I'm trying to manage it all and understand it all. I've got an Instagram feed, the other feed through the other technology we're using, and it's got 3 different platforms, and then I have my laptop to make sure. So it's like learning, I'm sure, well, it's not as complicated as flying, but like where you have all these different controls. I don't think I need to do much other than just talk. So I'm Jason Kreidman. This is Dad University. Welcome. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat. If you're watching this on a replay, I hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the live too, but hope you enjoy the replay. So if you want to support the channel, you can go to daduniversity.com/support. Saw a couple new members coming in last time. There's you can become a member. You can also just donate to us directly, and that's very, very helpful. So let's see what is going on today. There's actually a lot of stuff in the news that I'm trying to avoid watching or seeing. Some tragedies and some stuff, and I try not to. If you go on any social media, you can see the stuff. I actually try not to watch the news and not to watch media, just because of how negative it is. So we're going to try to put some positivity in this world. And so we are going to be talking about being a father, how exciting that is, and what that means to us. And so if you have a question or a comment, throw it in the chat. And I'd love to interact with you. Also, let me know where you are from. Where are you watching this from, so we can see people, where people are coming from. It's always cool to see people from all over the world. So, so the greenskeeper, wife is due in early September, will be our first. Give me a 30-second life lesson that will help me through this. Yeah, I can give you some great life lessons. Number one thing to learn, because I didn't learn this until after my children were born, and of course after I was married and then had children, is to be empathetic. And whether it is a little baby that you are being empathetic towards, and what that means is that you're looking at a situation from the other person's perspective. So when your baby is crying, look at it from your baby's perspective. When your partner is not doing well or is frustrated, look at it from their perspective. And I can tell you that as a life lesson, that has been one of the most valuable things that I have learned and practiced, and it has enhanced my relationships with just in every way of the people around me, especially my family. And so I think that is a really important one. And I talk a lot about empathy on this channel. I've got some videos related to it. But yes, that is probably one of the best life lessons that I can do. And, as you're going through the pregnancy, that's a great thing to keep in mind, because, you are, let's just take the assumption, I don't know, you're excited, you're scared, you've got all kinds of emotions coming, and you don't often we don't put ourselves in the perspective of our partner and think about what it is that they're going through. It's really about me and what I have to go through. So just do that as you're going through the pregnancy as well. Dad to doodla. Well, considering you are, it sounds like, a doodla, would you recommend hiring a postpartum doula? Recommendations, I think if anybody needs help with a situation, I am never opposed to getting help. So whether that be, in this case, a doula, a therapist, talking to friends, the fact that is an option, I think, is wonderful. I think anytime that there is assistance, sometimes for people, if the assistance is expensive or it's, out of reach for somebody or, whatever, that can be a different situation. But as far as recommending it, yeah, I mean, anytime somebody can get help, because we don't know everything. And I think that it's naive to think that we can do everything on our own. There are much smarter people out there than us. So Brian asks, Jason, coming from you, an experienced father, what's more rewarding, focusing on the present or looking forward to the future? My son is turning 2 next week, and I love being a father.
That was an accident.
Oh, okay. Well, we're congratulating. We're saying that.
Julius.
All right. So what is more rewarding, the present or looking forward to? Well, I don't think looking towards the future is rewarding. I will actually say that looking towards the future has the potential of creating more problems than certainly focusing on the present moment. The present moment and being present with your children is really important. And future, when you're thinking about the future, you are focused, I think you end up having some expectations. You think about how things should go. And so when they don't go that way, sometimes there can be disappointment and there can be frustrations. And so I would say that focusing on the present moment is much more important. And I wish I did it more. And so, yeah. Julius from Scotland. My wife just gave birth to 2 boys, Ethan and Jason. Well, that's an awesome name. And there are first, how can I support my wife in raising them? It's interesting how you phrase that. Support your wife in raising them. I think I understand what you're meaning as far as like right now, she's going through this. So I just talked about empathy. That's probably number one. I think the other thing is asking your wife. That is something that we often don't do, is simply, because different people have different needs. So I know, oftentimes people say, well, I shouldn't have to, like a woman might say this, like, I don't want to have to ask or something. But if you approach it in the right way, saying, listen, I really want to be supportive for you. I really want to help in every way I can. I want to be involved. I want to this. What are some things that would really benefit you? Ask her and see how she responds. If she's like, well, you should know, well, that. Hopefully she doesn't respond that way. But yes, I would ask her. There are so many different possibilities. Some women, it depends on who is the primary caregiver. It depends on your sleep schedule. It depends on if she's breastfeeding or not. I think here's an overall statement. The best way to think about it is that you are 50-50 partners when it comes to the child. So if you are at work and she is at home, she's doing that, you're doing work. When you come home, it is again 50-50 partnership. So you have to give each other breaks, allow each other rest, allow each other personal time, and you communicate what works for both of you, and that is the best thing I can suggest. So Saint Kaio, how do you deal with being away from our child, having to go back to work in the office? I often find myself missing him so much to almost bringing myself to tears when I think of him. I think that is wonderful. I think you make the time count, when you're with him. I think you could potentially, if you had to, you could take breaks and do FaceTimes or, video chats if you really want to see the child. You certainly could do that. But as far as like how to deal with it, knowing that, your child is safe and somebody is taking care of your child, it should bring you comfort. How do you deal with being away? I think it's just, it's the part of it. it's one of those things, when you first have the child, I'm going to say this, when you first have the child, you don't want to be away, for many. And then there are times where you really need a break, where you feel like you never get a break. And, as an example, it's like there's things that I want to do personally, whether it's exercise. So I get up really, really early because nobody's awake. I need that break. I need that quiet time. I need that. Then I'm prepared and ready for the interaction with my kids. So, as far as dealing with it, I don't think that there's a secret. I think you just deal with it. You have those emotions, allow yourself to feel those emotions, and that's it. So I think that's it's very admirable that you miss, it's cool that you miss the child. Just make the time count when you do see them, and it'll become important. Guys, if you have a question, throw it in the chat. Let me know where you're looking in from. We've got an Instagram feed over here on a separate camera, and then on this camera, we've got YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else. And also, too, if you want to support the channel, support the show, this doesn't come easy. There's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort if you've looked into the videos. And so what does keep us going is your help. At a minimum, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, please. It really helps us in the algorithm, like in YouTube, if you're watching us from YouTube. And then also you can go to daduniversity.com/support and become a member. It's pay what feels good. So what that means is like literally for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can become a member. Certainly we love if you pay more, but you can become a member, and what that does is it gives you access to, currently we have 9 different courses for dads that you can go through, and each course has actionable homework, instructions about things that you can do and say to interact with your children. And then we've got a ton of videos all categorized and such, and then we also have discussions there. So you can do that, become a member. That really helps us grow. It helps us, allows us to do more of these, and allows us to keep this going. Or you can just give a one-time donation, and that's really helpful too. But that's how we do this, is with everyone's support. So it is very, very appreciated for those of you who are members, who are joining us, and then also people who are subscribed at a minimum. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. Let's see. Oh, that's why I wasn't seeing it. The chat is not up on this screen. It's over there. Here, I can do it. Can we do it? Oh, there we go. That's where all. Okay. Okay. All right. Here, actually, I'll leave this here because then I can.
I need this.
Oh, I was gonna say okay. All right. Well, then hopefully it just goes by itself.
Oh, it will.
Okay. So we're trying to figure this out. So if you do have a question, throw it in the chat. I'm figuring out all the technical stuff here. Luckily, Luke knows what he's doing, and because I don't. And if I keep looking around, it's because we have multiple cameras and multiple phones.
I think I probably have a question if you want it.
Sure. There's a question coming from. Where is that coming from?
Let's see, YouTube.
Oh.
I don't think I did this one yet, or maybe I didn't.
Oh, which one? We were going to answer a question that was. Yeah, I think we did, but I can answer that one again. I think I had said that I was going to answer this. So this is a common question: is how do I get my toddler to eat?
Wait.
Oh, you have a different one. I think we answered this one too, didn't we?
Really?
Yeah, but I'll answer. Yes, we did actually. We answered that.
On the other one?
Yeah. No, I mean it doesn't matter. I mean I'll help if people aren't asking the questions, and we can certainly have a discussion about either one of these. Okay. I'll do this one, Afro Brian. We had answered this I think last week, but I can answer it again. It's an important question. What happens when the child's mom disrespects you constantly in front of your son, am I supposed to let that happen and not say anything back? Just let him see his father be disrespected by his mom. What's your solution to this? So I think you need to frame this and think of it differently. I think, so men especially have this thing with I mean, women do too, but it's this thing with an ego that about being disrespected. And the fact that, if let's say it's a verbal disrespect. I think, because our normal tendency is like when somebody disrespects you, you have to stick up for yourself and you have to, which is fine. I'm not arguing that. But I think you have to frame it differently and understand that when somebody is disrespecting you, there's something going on with them. People who are in pain cause pain. So I think when you think of it differently, as an example, if I get negative comments, Jason, you suck, you don't know what you're talking about, this is the worst. I mean, if you're ever on TikTok, that's what happens there. This is the worst advice I've ever had, how do you, blah, blah, whatever. If I took that personally as disrespect, I wouldn't be able to last on any of these platforms. You have to develop, somewhat of a thick skin, but not just that. You have to realize that the people who are saying this are mean. They have something in their heart that isn't going well. They, because someone who argues or, respectfully debates is a different scenario than someone who is just trying to tear you down and disrespect you. And so I think what I would advise is you can certainly tell the woman, I think that's what it was, hey, I don't appreciate that. It's really disrespectful, but I'll tell you this, whatever, and you go ahead and just do what it is you're going to do. I don't think you have to come back at somebody. I don't think you have to. So what's going to happen is the child will begin to understand and learn that mom is disrespectful, that mom says things that are not cool, says things that are not nice, that she's just not a nice person when she does that. Versus your child watching how you interact with your child, how you are treating mom, how we treat mom, regardless if we are with mom or not, is so important for the children to see. Because, if you have a boy, he is going to see how a woman should be treated. If you have a daughter, she's going to see how she deserves to be or thinks she should be treated. So if you are disrespecting mom, unless she has influence outside of positive influence and friends and stuff that are very, very positive, she's going to feel like it's okay for a man to talk to her like that. And it's not. So I think you need to be you. You need to be respectful, loving. You can be confident. You can certainly point it out that it's a disrespectful and say, hey, listen, what you're saying is completely disrespectful. Here's what we need to do, blah, blah, and just go on with your day. I think you don't get bothered by it and you become really emotionally bulletproof. I think that's the term that you need to get into your psyche, is that you are emotionally bulletproof. And once you figure that out, I mean, you're unstoppable. So you want to do a commercial promo real quick?
We can.
Go for it. When I found out we were going to have a baby, I was so excited. I was also full of anxiety and fear because began most of was for dads.
And so I decided to take action and began building Dad University. Dad University is a one-of-a-kind educational platform for dads to help you achieve your full potential as a father. We help you go from overwhelmed and confused to calm and confident father with
All right. So, well, Instagram was still going, but so what happens, we went to a commercial, but part of that is because I'm a dad and I got a text regarding my my child, one of my children, who's supposed to be picked up and is having a problem with the pickup, and this is part of real life. So this is what happens, and this is part of it, is that you have to be. Somebody had asked also for life advice. I think it was Ticky Tipson. It's your birthday. Woohoo! Right on. Happy birthday. So that's real life. That's why I apologize. I went to a commercial, is because I had to handle something really quick, and what I was saying is that somebody had asked for sort of a life advice in 30 seconds, and I'd say as a parent, you learn to be flexible. Before I was a parent, I was a lot less flexible, just in everything, and now realizing my flexibility, my patience, my ability to have empathy and understand others and be less judgmental. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you benefit from being a parent when you are, dealing with these kinds of things. And like, as an example, my child's supposed to be picked up. We had somebody that was scheduled to pick up, but they can't. And so the coordination of all of this, it's like, you want to make sure your kids are okay. And so, that responsibility that you have doesn't seem to stop. As they even move into teens and adulthood, I'm sure it'll continue. So, guys, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer. We've got Instagram going. We've got YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and ask me a question. I'd love to answer. Love to help out in any way I can. And let's see what else. If you want to support our show and the channel, go to daduniversity.com/support and become a member. We are doing some really cool things behind the scenes as far as memberships, some of the things that we're creating, new courses, new videos, etc. And all of that is possible from people helping us out and becoming members and donations. That's how we do it. For years, I pushed out all of this and just invested it on my own and with my own investment for years. I had an assistant videographer. We did social media. We did promotions. We did all these things, and it was out of pocket. It was a lot of investment in this, and it's nice now that we can expand and grow, and people are helping, and we have something to sell. Before, I didn't really have anything to sell. So now we have a membership in which you can support the channel. You can also just do donations by going to daduniversity.com/support and doing that. And the you can become a member for very inexpensive. If that's a word. Yeah. I don't know if that content. You can, it's like $3 at the lowest price is $3. We certainly love more, but you know what? It still helps us. So, hey, I was wondering, did you and your wife take Lamaze classes? Is it really that beneficial in your opinion? My wife isn't too interested in it, and I'm not pushing, but I don't know if I should. We did not, because we had a planned C-section for medical reasons. It was a planned C-section, so we did not take those classes. I don't think that it's a bad idea. I think that any education that you can get that would make you or think of it in a different way as, if it'll make you feel more comfortable because you're more knowledgeable about what's going on, then I think it's beneficial. It's interesting that your wife isn't interested. I would be curious to understand why she's not interested, if she feels like she's just going to handle it herself without really understanding what to do and how to do it. Millions of people have taken those classes and have benefited from it. So I think it's worth a discussion. It's interesting, though. I mean, if she doesn't want to take it, you can't force somebody to take it, but it's interesting that she wouldn't want to. Saint Kaio, what would you say is the toughest part about being a new dad? What's something they don't tell you about fatherhood? So the toughest, well, there's maybe two different questions. The toughest part about being a new dad is probably the change, at least, well, this was for me. A lot of it was the change in responsibility. I went from, let's call it, single guy to then married and then shortly after having a child. And in that time, you feel, there's a huge change. You have this huge feeling of responsibility, of taking care. So, when you have a wife, at least I did, I felt responsible for the other person. I mean, she worked and, did her own thing, but you feel sort of like responsible for them financially, physically, all these other things. And then when you have a baby, that becomes exponentially more, where all of a sudden, because the baby can't take care of itself. My wife is like very independent and can take care of herself just fine, even though I felt like I had to, or it was now my responsibility, to keep her safe and do it. Now, when you have a baby and this baby can't do anything, can't take care of itself, you feel this huge sense of obligation. And then I think that for me, weighed on me a little bit because I had never had that sort of responsibility before, and it's something new. I also will say, like somebody else had said about being away from the child, you don't realize that you can love something so much. It's just, even, if you've had a pet, maybe that's close. You've had siblings or something, but like this little thing that comes out, like you don't realize that you can love something so much. And I think the toughest part, was probably that new responsibility of feeling that, responsibility. And it's, but that was a good thing. And then what's something that they don't tell you about fatherhood? I think they don't tell you that it's going to be emotional. At least, I didn't get that. I didn't understand that it was going to be that emotional, that, I would feel like this other gentleman, had felt like being away from the child. You miss the child. You might feel sad. You feel scared. You feel there's all kinds of emotions that I don't remember, identifying and feeling in similar ways. And so that's probably what I would, there's a ton of things that, they don't necessarily tell you, but, another thing too, it doesn't, nothing's forever, where you feel like, let's say the baby's crying and you can't calm the baby. It's not forever. Things change. It's constantly changing and evolving, and you learn. And as soon as you learn and tackle something and understand it, something new comes along. I have children now that are 14 and 12. It's a whole new set of things that are coming along. As I develop and try to develop more, teen and young adult content as my children get older, it's a different animal. It's just different. The interactions are different. They're different. So, hey, Thomas, good to see you. Welcome back. My wife, 18-month-old daughter, and I live in a one-bed in a big city. Our place is taking forever to sell, so until we move to a bigger spot, any advice on staying sane? Go outside. Go outside, get away from each other. Or, you take the child, your wife takes the child. spend time outside. Spend outside, out in the park. That's probably one of the best things about, if you're in a big city, it may or may not be possible, but, even just going for walks, if it's a small space, that can be difficult. And you're up, you're on top of each other and sort of getting in each other's way. And so, you do need that space and you do need that time alone. And so coordinate that with your wife where you can get that individual time, and so can she. Say, hey, and coordinate it, schedule it. Say, hey, this time you go out, I'll watch the kid, and then this time I'm going to go out, watch the kid. Get your space and do that. And if it's, and know that it's not forever. It's not like a jail cell where, you have no parole and you're never going to be able to get out. So yeah, I think keeping sane, that might be the best way to do it, is just by getting out. But that, that can be tight. Guys, great questions. If you've got any additional questions, if you're just joining us, welcome to the live stream, the Dad University Show. I'm Jason Kreidman. I'll introduce myself again. But we've got Instagram here. Sorry if I'm not looking into the Instagram camera too much, but it's still there. And then we've got YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Oh, I forgot LinkedIn. We are streaming on LinkedIn. So if you are joining us from there, say hello as well. We are all over the place and all over the world too. That's what's really cool, is that people are joining us from all over. And again, as I say it throughout the thing, if you want to support the channel, you can go to daduniversity.com/support. But more importantly, what are the questions that you have? It's interesting. The majority of people, it seems, that are coming on and interacting and watching and stuff are new dads. And part of that is, it's so different. The fact that you find out you're pregnant, you're going to have a child. And I understand. I mean, that's the transition. That's they're learning to be a dad. But here's what I want to say, and I don't want to discount that. But that part is actually easier. So the pregnancy, the newborn phase, and when I say easier, I don't necessarily mean emotionally or like what you're like going through or whatever. It's like, it's easier to kind of go on your gut. There's not, the baby's not there yet, and then when the baby is there, you learn a couple things, but like a baby is either hungry, tired, wants you to, wants affection, needs to be changed, or uncomfortable. Like there's only a couple things that, a baby is upset with. And then, as the child grows and, your interaction with the child increases and stuff, it becomes a little bit more complex. And so that's where a lot of Dad University comes in. Like I do have videos like how to diaper and what to do when you come home from when you come home from the hospital and whatever. But like the really challenging stuff that nobody really teaches us, at least I came from like great parents, but I didn't get taught this stuff. And is that, when the child is 2, 3, 4 years old and you start interacting with the child, what's the best way to do this? What is the best way to optimize your child's potential, to reduce conflict, to, keep peace and be calm and reduce your stress and such. And so that is a lot of what the content of Dad University's courses are about. And, it's kind of getting past that baby stage where you have a fatherhood mindset. It talks about discipline and the communication with your child, talking about patience and gratitude and empathy and all of these things of, how to deal with the child as the child grows, because they become much more complex. You know, dealing with a 7-year-old is much more complex than dealing with a newborn. And that's why I said it's not that it's easy or whatever, but I feel like you can use your gut a little bit more with the baby, your gut instincts. And like, the baby needs to be fed, the baby needs to be changed, and unless the baby has some sort of sickness or something. And so that's the part where I really, and I think many of us don't think, at least I didn't. That's why I started taking classes and researching and getting certifications and stuff, is I didn't even realize that there was better ways of doing things, better ways of talking with my children, better ways of handling a tantrum, better ways of communicating with my spouse about these situations. And like, there are really good ways of handling these things that will keep you more sane, will keep you more calm, will, instruct your child to be calmer as well, and for them to get through stuff. And so the benefits of that is that because when your child is 10 years old, and for 10 years you have been parenting a certain way, whatever that way is, you better believe that that child is going to do things based on how and what you've done over the last 10 years. So if you haven't communicated well with your child, guess what? It's going to be difficult. And as they become 10, 11, 12, their friends start creeping in, and the influence of their friends becomes more important. And that's when, a lot of people have difficulty with tweens and teens, is because they have not fostered that relationship. They haven't done things in a way that it's going to make them easier as they get older. So as a result of that, that's why I think Dad University is very, very important. As much as it is important for the baby and newborn and pregnancy and all that, it's really important for the later stages. And that's, like I said, that's what the courses are about. We have a tremendous videos about that. We have a lot of videos about them. But guess what? Those videos aren't as popular. There's not as many fathers looking, because once they're in it, they're not thinking that there's something that could be different. And so I do think moms search more than dads for solving these problems, but I'd love to change that. That's why we're here. And everybody who is here on chat wants to be involved too, and I appreciate that, and that's why you're here, and I feel grateful. So, enough of me rambling. Let's ask some questions. Put your questions in the chat if you're just joining us. Let me know where you're from. It's interesting on Instagram. We've got some flickering in the backgrounds, so I can let me see if I can get out of the way. The light there. Can you see it? It's flickering. It's not showing up like that on YouTube, or on the others, but that's okay. So ask me a question, and I will be happy to answer, even if it's a baby question. That's fine. I don't mind. And we'll see what we can do. I was trying to think of one of the other subjects that we have coming up. There is we're going to be offering a master class on discipline. It's going to be free. So master class webinar, a short sort of mini webinar. I'm going to be offering that soon. Everybody will have a chance to be part of that and go into that. That's coming out hopefully within the next week or two. I hope. We just recorded some of it, and these things take a little bit of time to get right. And then what else? We've got some courses in the works. We've got some new videos in the works. Also, too, if you guys have topics, if you're watching this live, great. If you're watching this on repeat or on a recording, if you have topics that you want to see, like that you want a video done about, I'd love your input. I mean, I've got plenty of topics, but I always like input because it means that people want that. I don't always know exactly what everybody wants, even though that's the business I've been in for 20 something years. By my former life is as a search engine expert, so I kind of do know what people search for, but at the same time, just because it's in a search engine and that's what people are searching for doesn't mean it's what people want and they're going to click on it. So let me know what you want. But hey, if there's not a lot of questions, then we're good. Although Kayo coming in, St. Kayo, you're coming in with some good questions. From Michigan, how can I, as a father, be a positive role model for my son? Well, I think you've answered it by being a positive role model. So just keep in mind that your son is going to watch, listen, and see, hear, and do things exactly like you do. Monkey see, monkey do is the thing that I say all the time. And so you need to be conscious of that. And so being a positive role model is, of the utmost important. I actually have a course in Dad University called Leading by Example. And it talks about all of that and how much what we do affects it. You'd probably enjoy that course. That might be something. In fact, that would be perfect for you. If you become a member, you get access to the course. It's called Leading by Example. You can see it on the daduniversity.com. Just go there and you can see what it's all about, all the different subjects and topics that are in there. But that's what it is. It is leading by example. If you are nice to, when you go out to dinner and you're nice to the staff and you hold doors open for people and you say thank you and you say please and you're a respectful person, well, that's what your kids see, and it's also, what you do, say, and how you act are probably the most important. And then after that is talking to your child about how those are important, and that's the other part of it. And so, that's what we try to do as well. It's how do you teach them manners? I've got a video on that. It's like, how do you teach them about respect and manners? How do you teach them to, be grateful? How do you teach them? Well, all those are all things that we do. And you can't do it unless you are doing it yourself. I'm saying you can't teach it unless you do it yourself. So that's what I say would be the best, the best way is just to act that way. And sometimes when you mess up, here's the thing too. It doesn't mean you need to be perfect. When you mess up, you admit that you messed up, you apologize for it or you make amends, and then you move on. And you talk about it and you say, guess what? Nobody's perfect. We're going to mess up. And so that's the other thing too. The kids don't need to see you be perfect, because being a positive role model doesn't equate to being perfect. It means you're a good role model, and a good role model when everyone's going to mess up and do things that are stupid and do things that are not, like an example. It's like, I give this example in one of my courses where I yelled and slammed the door, and walked out of the room or something. Well, guess what? Not a week or two later, my child did the same thing. They yelled, walked out of the room, and slammed the door. So where do you think they learned that? So what I did is I had to come back and say, oh, I'm so sorry. That was inappropriate. I should have been more calm when I was talking to you, and I apologize. Well, guess what then happens? My child then yells, comes back and says, you know what? I could have handled that better. I'm really sorry for yelling at you. Like, they just mimic and mirror what it is that you do. And we think as parents, like, we have this right or this, because we're parents, we just like are allowed to do these things without any ramifications. And we need to apologize. We need to make amends. We need to call ourselves out when we do something that probably isn't great. And your child will respond that way. They will see, oh, dad made a mistake. That's fine. Dad's normal. Dad's human. And then dad, how does dad fix it? Well, guess what? Your child's going to do the same thing. So Anyways, good questions though. With that, I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. All good. And we'll be here same time, same channels next week, 4 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. Hope you can join us. If there are any other questions that come up and you're watching this on replay, just throw them in the chat and we will try to answer them on the next live. And again, if you want to support the channel, go to daduniversity.com/support and you can become a member, pay what feels good, whatever it is, or you can do a one-time donation. Everything is appreciated. So with that, happy Tuesday, and hug your kids and your family, your spouse, if you've got one, and I appreciate you. Everyone, take care. Bye.
Guys, I'm excited. We've got a diaper bag giveaway. This is the Kobe expandable diaper bag. Really sturdy, it's got a lot of pockets. It's a very cool bag. For the next 50 members who sign up for daduniversity.com, as a member, we will put you in the drawing to win this diaper bag. It's over $139. It's got all kinds of cool accessories with it. So make your way over to daduniversity.com and pay what feels good to become a member. So become a member and get the chance to win this bag. Go over to daduniversity.com, click on become a member, and you'll automatically be entered if you're one of the next 50 people to do that. When I found out we were going to have a baby, I was so excited. I was also full of anxiety and fear because I knew nothing about children or being a father. So I began learning. I took parenting classes, did research, got certifications, and most importantly, experienced mistakes that I learned from. And while there was a lot of information and communities for moms, there wasn't many resources for dads. And so I decided to take action and began building Dad University. Dad University is a one-of-a-kind educational platform for dads to help you achieve your full potential as a father. We help you go from overwhelmed and confused to calm and confident father with our courses or videos, live broadcasts, support forum, and more. When you become a member, you get unlimited access to everything. The pricing for our monthly membership is pay what feels good. Education, the community, the tools that you will get here are priceless. But we also understand that everyone values them differently. And as such, we give you the choice of what you want to pay. How much is peace of mind worth to you? Click on Become a Member and get started today.